Hayden Bandel, Nick Parr, Pat Dallahan, and we are now joined by the newest Temple head football coach, Casey Keeler. Casey, thank you for coming in, taking time out of your day.
Hey, fellas, thanks for having me.
For sure.
This looks like fun. We should do it more often.
Yeah, let's do it.
We should. Well, let's see how it goes first.
Yeah.
Maybe I got a little too excited.
Yeah.
Welcome on anytime.
Yeah.
So Casey Keeler took Rowan to 5 national championships at the D3 level, then goes to the FCS level, goes 10 playoff berths, including winning 2 national championships, the only head coach to win a national championship at 2 different programs with Delaware and, of course, with Sam Houston State, where he come from. Now he's leading your Temple Owls. Casey, just talk about how did it first come about? How did you kind of first get in contact with the people at Temple?
So what happened was I preparing for a game, and I get a phone call, and it's the headhunter. They say, "Hey, I represent Temple in their search for a head coach. Are you interested?" I've done this for 31 years now. I've gotten a lot of these calls, and I get just so ingrained in like my players and where I'm at. I'm just really not one that's constantly looking for jobs. But Temple's back home, and I played against them and remember the days when I played against them. They're pretty good football. I lost 7 games in 3 years at Delaware and 2 were to Temple, and both games were just such physical games, and you remember those games, how excruciating those losses were. So I said, yeah, absolutely. We'll have a conversation. Well, next thing I know, 3 days later, I'm sitting face-to-face with the athletic director, Arthur Johnson. And so I kind of figured at that point, they had done a lot of research on me, and they were targeting me. And, we're supposed to come down and have an hour conversation in Conroe, Texas. And, I look at my watch, and it's 3 hours later. And we just connected, with my philosophies and my belief system and how I wanted to run a program, and same thing with his morals and his values. And then we got a chance to FaceTime with our great president. And John Fry's there, and he's like totally engaged in watching the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I don't want to say he's hollering at the TV, but he's totally engaged in watching the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's good for us to hear that.
Absolutely. For a college football coach, that's great when your president is very engaged in watching the sport that you coach. And what I saw was, I think people sometimes don't realize the great academic institution this is. If you look at, the new ratings that come out, I mean, it was one of the top 50, public schools in America.
Yeah.
And
that's how we all got here.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
The fact that him and I got here is a miracle.
Could have chose anywhere, but I chose Temple.
Oh, yeah.
So, with that being said, I there was a belief system from those two men that Temple football needs to get back on track to make this even greater. And, we always talk about how athletics is the front porch, and obviously football is a big part of that. And, the fact that all the games are on television now, and you just want your alums proud of the program, Yeah. So, I was really captivated. And, my wife and I were both interested in trying to get back east. I had promised Sam Houston that the transition was going to be really brutal because we couldn't get right into Conference USA. We had to sit in kind of a area where there's no playoffs. There was no we had a 9-game schedule.
Yeah.
Had to redshirt your team. And we made a promise that we were going to successfully navigate them through, to FBS. And after that, we were going to make some decisions with what we wanted to do with the rest of our lives. And when this came about, it was like God sent. It was like, this is what I want to do. I want to go back to my roots, and at a place that I know that there's going to be challenges. But we can be Tulane. We can be Memphis. We're an urban campus that has great academics, and there's no reason we can't be fighting for conference championships. So again, it all sort of just transpired in a very quick time frame. It was my wife's birthday. We had just beaten Liberty, and unusually she came out of the stands to be on the field with me, and I think we both kind of just took our victory lap.
Yeah,
it just was that look around and you see the national championship banner up there, and there's going to be a bowl banner up there eventually, and it's going to be the last time you're going to be coaching in that stadium. And the next day we agreed to terms, and it was her birthday. I'm not going to say what age birthday she was. I've said that. She said, "Don't you ever do that again."
Oh boy, that's not good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have 39 years of marriage. I'm trying to get to 40. So we're out to dinner, and I say that we've agreed on terms, and we're going home, and she couldn't stop crying.
Yeah,
it's like, Janice, it's like, are you happy? Or like, what's going on? And it was just so emotional for both of us because we had such a great run there, and we love those people there. and now I'm leaving them behind to come home. And so it was hard, but at the same time, it was very exciting.
You talked about just some of the values that you were talking about with Arthur Johnson, with Fry. What are those values, those morals that you want to bring to the team, and also from a philosophy standpoint as well on the field?
See, I see a coach as being a mentor. I see a coach as being a role model. I see the reason why you have great programs is because you realize that you're in this thing together, and that's why my teams have won. I've had great players, and I've had great coaches that worked with me. But I think the combination of those players understanding that those coaches are trying to help them not just to win a football game, but also later in life. And I have a player that we have right now, Sincere Jackson, was supposed to come to Temple, and there was a coaching change 3 years ago. And I convinced him with the people I know out in L.A. and those kind of things. My son works out there. That if he did well academically in our great communications school, Dan Rather School of Communications, I would get him out there for an internship. And it worked that way. I got him out there with a movie producer. And some of the young coaches say to me, like, Coach, he's going to miss summer one. I said, I understand that. I said, he'll come back in great shape because that's who he is. I said, but you know what? That locker room knows that what we just did for him is going to change his life. Mm-hmm. And this is more than just a business transaction. This is how you take care of family. Yeah. And so when you do things like that, it just brings you all together. And through my career, I've been really good at doing those subtle things that make everyone understand there's a greater purpose than just winning a championship. And even though, that's the goal, we are in this thing together and we care about these people as they move through life. So anyway, that's kind of how I got started, and this is who I am as a coach.
Yeah. Success, something you've found a lot of in your career, obviously 2 national championships, and it's kind of subjective and different to everyone. How would you describe success both personally as a definition for you and for Temple football?
Yeah, I think, personally for me, I want to, when I'm done with my career, I want that, Temple is considered like the best team in this league. And if you're the best team in this league, guess what? You're getting in the playoffs most of the time. And, I just want to, bring back the culture that was been here at times. And, I was just inducted into the Delaware Hall of Fame. And in that Q&A they do, they said, what was your greatest legacy? And I said, my greatest legacy was I just followed what my coach did, Coach Raymond did. He created a culture that everyone knew that you played for the guy next to you. You played for the guys who played before you. You played for the guys who are going to play for in the future. This is more than just, coming and playing your 2 or 3 years or 4 years and moving on. This is something that's greater. Like when you come back in 40 years, you were always a blue hen, just like you're always going to be a Temple Owl. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's who I'm about, and that's what I want to do. That's a legacy I want to leave. I want, when I leave here, there's a forward momentum moving forward that, we are used to having great football at Temple, and there's a concerted effort to make sure everyone's in this thing together, and there is pride from generation to generation to generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so growing up in this Philadelphia area, have you ever, thought of coaching this team and coaching at this university? And if so, how does it eventually feel to now fulfill that dream of coaching here?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Hey, you guys have been good. Well, that was a great question.
Well, that's why he's taking his job.
Yeah, so I'm out of here.
No, so, it's so funny because a couple of things. First, I used to come over and watch practice. When I was getting my master's degree, I needed to use the Temple library, and so I'd come watch Bruce Aaron's, practice. But my coach, Tubby Raymond, there was a disdain for Temple, and I think about it. If Wayne Harden, legendary coach, Tubby Raymond, legendary coach, 50 miles between them, So sometimes when legendary coaches or next to legendary coaches, there's not a great relationship because you're trying to establish who you are. But I got a number of text messages from my teammates, saying, "Oh, I bet Tubby's rolling over," but at the same time, he's rolling his eyes, that like, what are you doing, But no, it's I never thought in a million years that I would be here, and I am just so glad I made this decision because every day I get energized, just being around the players and knowing that Temple wants to have great football. It's a mandate from the people above me. That's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Keeler, I'm the top recruit coming out of high school.
Here we go.
What's your message to me to come to Temple?
Yeah, I would say this. I said, talk to our players. I think they're the greatest ambassadors. And, we'll get to a point where those players really know me, and they'll all say, like, this is the guy you want to play for because he's going to care for you more than just as a football player. He's going to care about you getting an internship. He's going to care about you getting a job. He's going to care about all those other things. Playing time, you got to earn that. I mean, he doesn't give anything to anybody. But in terms of those other things, and that's why my players have been so loyal to me, and I'm so loyal to them because we, do this thing together. It's like we're in this thing together. When we lose, we lose. When we win, we win. It's never a you guys did. It's like if they did it, then I'm responsible for it. So, again, that would be my message. Just talk to my players and see how they feel about playing in this program and the pride they have in playing in this program. And that's what I want to reestablish, the pride of being a Temple Owl football player. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, and coaching, obviously, 365, 24/7. When you took the job, and obviously today in college football with the transfer portal and how prevalent that is, like, have you had to have been recruiting right away?
Yeah, great question. You guys are really good.
I'm in the gutter here.
You're struggling.
Future Temple graduates here, right? Yeah. So, so we will be a little slower in this portal time right now, the first opening, because we really work hard at vetting our players.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the ones you lose in the recruiting process. It's the ones that you bring in that don't fit in. So because we don't have our staff completely in place, we're not going to rush to, offer a lot of guys and those kind of things. So again, I think that's just experience and wisdom. Done it enough times. There's going to be another window that's going to open up. There's going to be players available. Right now, I'm more concerned about retaining the players in this program that I know can make an impact on us and play for us. And it's been great. I've had some great conversations with the guys, and we've had some honesty back and forth. And so I think there's a good chance we're going to retain a lot of those guys. But that's where it starts. It starts with retaining your best players, and then selectively picking a couple guys up at some key spots, and then the next window that opens up, you got your whole staff in place. Your whole recruiting department has been working at it, and we can go get some future Temple Owls.
Yeah, retaining players, that's something you talked about. And it seems like a lot of schools struggle with that nowadays. How are you going to be able to retain your players and in the future retain guys coming in?
Think about this. We had one starter go in the portal, and that starter tried to, return. I think a lot of it is they give you a hometown discount if they feel good about where they're at. And our players at Sam Houston get very little NIL, and they're not going to get rich. And it's the same thing here. We don't. And I told all of them honestly. I said, I'm going to work really hard at getting NIL money here, but you're not going to get rich.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is just make you more comfortable, and that's what we're working on. And I believe that the day I signed, we tripled the amount of NIL in there, and so it's something that we will feverishly work at because it is the way of the world right now. And again, very clear. I rather under promise and over deliver. And so when I've met with guys, it's been very much like, we're working at this. There's going to be some money available, but you're not going to get rich. We're just going to try to make it so you're more comfortable.
With the NIL, just how do you kind of get more money coming in to the program?
Yeah, I think it's just educating alums, what's going on and what's the landscape of college football. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, if any of us would have said we're going to be paying football players, we'd go, come on, wake up.
That's crazy.
Now it's
the SEC's been,
Yeah, well, that's and I'm just down from A&M, so I will bite my tongue.
Yeah.
So I think it's just really important that our guys understand that they're not going to get rich, but we can get enough support here that we're going to get enough money in to help them out. And, sometimes I'll plug some things in with hey, listen, to receive this money, we need some more community service. Hey, to receive this money, there's some academic things we want you to do. And I think alums and donors like that it's more than just, hey, we're paying a player to there's also things that they're doing to make sure that they're engaged in the community and making sure they're taking care of their education. So, yeah, and that's my vow to the alums when they do give that money. It's like, we're going to make sure we're giving it to the right guys. We're just not throwing money around. And the other thing is that there'll be some minor money spent on bringing players in, but the majority of the money is going to be spent on retention. And I have found that, that helps your locker room when they know that you're trying to help with retention of players even though some money will be spent on bringing some in, the majority of that money is going to be spent on retention of players.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about leading Sam Houston State from FCS to the FBS and how that was a tough transition. Compared to the job that you have here and bringing Temple football back, how would you, look at those two jobs differently? Do you have to go about them differently? Like what's going on in your mind with that?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a competitive brand of football. We played Rice and beat them by 3 scores opening day. So I know it's a competitive brand of football, but there's no question, with the fact that, the high school football in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Virginia and New York and Maryland, I mean, just so great. It's like, and what G5s are we competing against? I mean, Delaware's just transitioning up now. Yeah. And they're playing in a different league, a league that I was in,
right,
with different resources than we have. So, and you're getting a much different TV package in the AAC than you are in Conference USA.
Yeah.
So, again, I think there's just so many opportunities for us right here in this region, right here in our footprint, to bring in some great, future Temple Owls, and we can move this program pretty quickly forward.
And Delaware, would that be a game that you're interested in playing?
I had mentioned that 10% of the gate would be a nice incentive for me to push that game along. So I'll get creative. I'm an entrepreneur.
So Temple recently has struggled with attendance, and honestly, myself, I am guilty of this too. I don't really, go to many of the football games. So what is going to be your future incentive for not just fans but students to go to these games and fill out Lincoln Financial Field?
Well, we have to be creative in terms of making sure there's good, easy ways, easy access to get down to the game. You try to make going in before you go in the game an event. Invite some of the other Big 5 schools. We have an area for all those because they're looking for an FBS program because there's no other FBS programs in the town. We can be the city's FBS program, and then it's you got to win. That's what
I think that's the key.
That's what people want to watch. They want to see people who win, and also I think there's a way to play the game, and we will play really hard and physical. But at the same time, when the game's over, we're going to make sure everyone's across the field and shake their hand. We're going to find our band, and we're going to play the alma mater with the band or the fight song, whichever's done here. And just like the little things you do to create a culture, and people appreciate that. So I'm on a Zoom tomorrow night with about 80 to 100 alums that play football at Temple. They're going to want to hear what my ideas are. And what I need, and I just need their support. Find a way to support. Come to a golf outing. We're going to try getting an auction together. Come to the auction. Come to some games. Just support the team because again, there is a tradition here that at times has been pretty impressive. We got to get back to those winning days.
Yeah. So the athletes, on your team, they're not just athletes; they're students as well. And student comes before athlete. So how do you, stress to your team and your players that, I guess their education is very important and off the field things are also, very important?
Well, yeah, we always talk about judging our program 3 ways. Well, you judge it academically, academic success, Dean's List, graduation, APR, those kind of things. You also judge it in terms of, championships, winning. You judge it, involving your involvement in the community. So those are 3 ways I always judge our program. Are we fully engaged in the community? Are we doing great things academically, and are we winning? Yeah. So I think when you do those things, I think it's the easiest way to get people to come out. You go to an event at a hospital or maybe a playground, you're helping redo something, or you're painting something, or you're helping build a house for Habitat for Humanity, and you just engage people. And all of a sudden, 1 becomes 7, becomes 14, becomes 28. It just multiplies. And so it's really important that, a lot of goodwill out there, a lot of us getting out in the community and doing the right things. And so I think a combination of winning and doing those things help your attendance.
Again, we're joined by K.C. Keeler, the new head football coach at Temple. Coach, you're talking about just some of the ideas that you had. Now, one of the ideas that's been flown around for a couple years now has just been getting a campus on stadium. Are you in favor of that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good setup at the Link right now. And so we got to, make sure we honor that. But I think that finding a more intimate area to play is something we have to at least research, and then we kind of figure out how that's all going to work. But, that's been talked about for a lot of years. And you can see that's what schools like Tulane have done. Instead of being in the Superdome or the
USF making their own on campus. Stadium.
Absolutely. So I mean that's above my pay grade. I don't want to get here kind of like, hey guys, we're doing this. Hey, coach said we're not playing at the Link anymore. No, I didn't say that. Stop. But no, I mean, I just think those are the kind of things you have to research. And again, right now we're playing at the Link. Our job is to get as many people in the Link as we can. And I know talking to the people involved in that, they've treated us very well. I mean, they we have our own locker room. They make game day a special experience, and so I think it will be tough to leave there. But if you can get something where it's more intimate, closer to campus, I think that makes sense for everybody.
I'm all good.
I do have one more.
Oh, geez.
Oh, boy.
The old one more question.
Yeah. Never good.
There's also never just one more, but I'll keep it to one.
Okay.
I know you were talking about just like with the portal and trying to get coordinators and stuff like that. Have you been in conversations with people, whether it's from Sam Houston or just throughout the college football world for coordinators?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, pretty much the defensive staff is done, and now it's a matter of just finishing up the offensive staff. And again, you can rush into these things, or you can, take some time and make sure that you're crossing every T and dotting every I. And so I think, my years on this planet have given me some wisdom. And again, I think sometimes, rushing in is not the right way to do it. I thought the single most important thing for me when I got here was touch the players, see them, talk to them, hug them, let them know where I'm coming from, where they're coming from. They want to be heard, And I always say, God answers all prayers. Sometimes the answer is no. So, don't be afraid to ask for, hey, this is what I really see could help Temple football, Maybe how we eat. We've changed some things in terms of this next semester in terms of how we're going to feed our players. Those things are all great. That was great input I got from the guys. So, I mean, there's some challenges, but I'm excited for the challenges.
Yeah, Hayden, hold on. You're right. There's not always just one.
Yeah.
I got one. There's a new. Obviously, we're in a new era of football with you coaching Temple alums, Temple students, Temple fans. What should we look forward to?
In terms of the brand?
In terms of, I guess, just Temple football in general.
Yeah, no, I think what you'll see, I mean, what I'm hoping is you're going to see a group that's very unified, that's going to play to the end. One of the great examples I can give you, we're playing a rivalry game, and we play those rivalry games. It's about the game on the field, but boy, all the alums in the stands too. So we're playing Texas State. There was a rivalry before I ever got there because they had gone up to FBS, and so they didn't. Sam Houston and Texas State didn't play. Well, now with us moving to FBS, it's on the docket, and we're down 22-0, and they're playing really well, and they're very talented. And what you saw was a team that just wasn't going to quit, not panic, just try to get one score. And to make a long story short, we drove the ball 6 minutes and 43 seconds that last drive in the fourth quarter to take all the time off the clock but 6 seconds and kick a field goal from the 3-yard line. That tells you a lot about character. That tells you a lot about culture. I mean, most places are panicking. Most places are pointing fingers. Not at our place. We're going to play to the very end. When there's all zeros across it, then we'll figure out what the score is. So there's a way I do things, and there's a standard I set, and those are the kind of things I think we've been able to produce. Wins like down 22 points and coming back and winning against a rival because you just kept on playing each snap as hard as you could.
Do you have any pregame rituals or routines that you do?
Guess we're not done.
I mean, I'm a pretty superstitious guy, so you might see the same pair of socks on if we win, from one week to another. And I just like to find out from the fellas, what things have you done in the past, and what things would you like to do? We kind of talk things out. I mean, I want this to be their team. I'm part of their team, but I want this to be their team. I don't want this to be a dictatorship. I want them to feel they have a voice. So we'll talk about the kind of things they've done in the past. When I first got to Sam Houston, they had a couple of really quirky little neat things they did. We kept them. They were awesome. So we'll find out what the traditions here are at Temple, and we'll decide if these guys want to move forward with this or not.
Casey Keeler, the new football coach here at Temple. Casey, thank you so much for all the time.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.